YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, we are gonna make a tier list for the ban list. So I was supposed to make a tier list last Monday, but because of the ban list this 31st, I think it would be like irrelevant since we are gonna make a tier list then, and then 10 days later we'll have another tier list just to adapt to the new ban list. It would be like somewhat annoying for viewers to actually watch this video. So might as well gonna make a tier list after the ban list. So these are the decks that will be good and bad after the ban list. So let us start. So right off the bat, we have Adamancipators. Now Adamancipators got hit with 2 cards, making this into Copium. Now, I'm not sure if there's going to be like relevancy with the Adamancipators after the ban list, but I'm pretty sure they're basically dead. I've tried playing a ton of Adamancipators, and those 2 cards are really significant in playing a 40 or a 60 card deck. Grass was limited to 1, so it doesn't really matter if you run 1 copy. It's hard enough to pull one of the 2 copies in a 60 card deck. How much more just running 1 copy of Grass in a 60 card deck? I think I'm gonna just dismantle it by the time the ban list is gonna be up. Second of all, the second card was Block Dragon. So the really significant card that was the main core for the Adamancipator to work and proceed with more plays. That card being banned really stops the deck entirely. With Block Dragon out of the way, I think you can still make some plays, but not a really good board. If you have a deck post-ban list that doesn't really need Block Dragon, or just uses 1 copy of Grass in a deck, then just comment down below. I would like to see that deck. Now, I would be unbiased enough to say that that was a really good hit. Block Dragon was one of the most broken cards in the Adamancipator deck. And yeah, I think that's Konami saying that, yeah, we need to ban it. Then we have Black Wings. Black Wings, I would say, it takes a really good pilot to make this deck really work. I have seen some players or dealt with some players that is really good with a Blackwing deck. If I would put this one on tiers, I will place this one on tier 3, and that's just lowballing it. If ever you have a really good pilot with Blackwings, you can even go to tier 2. So that's Blackwings. I'm gonna put this one on good pilot. Then we have Branded Espia. So Branded Espia got hit with Branded Fusion to 1. So what does this entail? I'm going to put Branded Espia to 3. The reason for this being is that I think there are other cards that can help the Branded Espia out. Now, if ever you are running with 1 Branded Fusion, you can start your play with one of the other fusion cards that you have, like the Kashtira, the Theater of the Branded, the polymerization from your Patchwork engine, if you still use that, the copy of your tech card, the Super Poly, to use your opponent's monster and your own for a fusion material. So that is still a really good starter, and if ever that doesn't work, you can drop a copy of Branded Fusion, thus gaining you more advantage as well. And then we have one of my favorite Synchro decks after the Rage of Chaos selection pack, the Chaos Synchro. Now I would be really unbiased with this as well, so I'm going to put this one on Copium. The reason for this being, I had the same or the similar feeling when I was playing Scarecrow before. So Scarecrow before, people don't know what are the choke points for the deck, what to interrupt, what to remove from the field. So basically, I kept on winning because people don't know how the deck works. But after a while, they managed to know the choke points, the interruptions, and yada yada yada. And then Scarecrow just failed to be like one of the strong decks for that matter. Then we have Dark Worlds. Dark Worlds doesn't really need a really good pilot as long as you have the idea on how to play Dark Worlds. It is really good. I can put this one on tier 3 though, next to Branded Espia, but that would be too generous enough. Also, it falls into the Maxi. It falls into the Nibiru. Can easily be broken by evenly match. There's a lot of problems with the deck as well, so I'm going to put this one just in Copium. You waste a ton of resources during the turn just to summon your Appaloosa, your Masquerena, your other negations or interruptions during your opponent's turn. And then you got wiped because of players still using a copy of Evenly Matched, Lightning Storm, Raigeki. Some people are using Nibirus and Kaijus as well. Basically, Copium at best for Dark Worlds. Then we have the new Draco Slayer. So the new Draco Slayers got supports. It was really insane. I've seen a ton of videos with Draco Slayers. I've seen some other players use Draco Slayers as well. They're really good. It takes a really good pilot to make a pendulum deck. Furthermore, just the knowledge of the monster effect and the spell card effect is just insane. You really need to have like a really good experience with pendulums, yet alone the deck as well, how it works, how it plays. It really takes a really good pilot to play Draco Slayers. The new supports grant them more advantage as well, more card advantage, more field presence, the things that make Draco Slayers like lack before the selection pack. So I'm gonna put this one there. If ever I'm gonna put this one on the tier, I will put this one on tier 3, possibly tier 2. But yeah, currently I'm gonna put this one on needs a good pilot. Then we have Dragon Link. So Dragon Link is gonna be tier 1 after the ban list. So tier elements after the ban list will move down the tier because of their hits. Branded decks will be moved down as well, like we have here. It went down to tier 3. Dragon Link will be one of the top decks for that matter. And I've been capping on Dragon Links before that you just settled on 1 to 2 negations or interruptions on the board, which was not good. But as time goes by and I've seen Dragon Link won the Worlds, I've seen Dragon Link won tournaments, regionals, things like that, even Master Duel tournaments as well. I would say like I just ate my own words, and it is one of the strongest decks currently in Master Duel. I would say that. Furthermore, new supports with the Kashtiras and Bestials made the deck really insane. So I'm gonna put this one on tier 1. And then we have Exo Sisters. So Exo Sisters wasn't hit with any banners whatsoever. It is still a really strong control deck. I'm gonna put this one on tier 2. The reason for this being, if you're going first, you set up Returnia, Avadis, a copy of Magnifica on the board, you are set for the game. Downside for this type of deck is typically getting Nibiru or getting even match on the next turn. But doesn't really matter because if ever you still have Vadis, you can still play it out. So I'm gonna put this one on tier 2. The next one we have Heroes. So I've placed Heroes before on tier 2. It really takes a good pilot for Heroes, and I'm not sure if I'm just being too generous about this, but if ever we're gonna put this one here, maybe tier 3. So yeah, it takes a really good pilot for Heroes. The reason for this being, I've seen or I have dealt with good players with Heroes that every turn they always have an out, they always have an advantage after getting their board wiped. Also, on the other hand, I have dealt with bad hero players where deck building wasn't their strong suit. Every turn they couldn't draw into the correct or the card that they really wanted, and then they lost the game from there on out. Alright, so here we are with Kashtiras, and I'm pretty sure the majority of you will be angry with me about this. So first of all, I'm going to say Kashtiras is a really strong deck, having to not depend mostly with the graveyard, and interactions with your opponent is just so insane with Unicorn and Fenrir at the moment. But it is still not complete, it still lacks some of its supports, and even with that, it doesn't really make a really good deck. So I'm gonna put this one in Copium. The reason for this being, you don't want to end your board with just a Shangri-Ira on the field and then summon one of your Unicorns or a Fenrir. It can easily be removed. Your Shangri-Ira can be negated as well with an Imperm. It can be stopped with an Ash Blossom when you try to search. There's a ton of things that Kashtira at the moment fails to actually do on a board. As an engine, on the other hand, I think it is really strong. The Fenrir to 2, the Unicorn on 3 is just insanely good with most of the decks. But I think it just needs a little bit more support. Hopefully by next month we will have the supports. It would possibly be tier 1 in the next month if ever we get the support. But at the currently as a deck solely, I'm gonna put this one on Copium. And then we have Labyrinth. So Labyrinth got hit with Extravagance to 2. Doesn't really matter though. Labyrinth is still a really solid deck that you can run into the meta. Whether you're playing up against Dragon Links, Tier Elements, Branded SPS, you always have an advantage even if it's his turn. The best thing about Labyrinth is you can still use your Furniture Labyrinth, your Cook Lock, just to interact during their turn. That is why I'm going to put this one on tier 2. And then we have Punks. So Punks as a sole archetype without other archetypes to support it it is basically copium. It's hard to play a pure punk deck. But on the other hand, if you are gonna play like a Bishop punk, I'm gonna put that one on tier 3. If you ever gonna play Kashtira punk, that would be much better, and I'm gonna put that one on tier 2. But solely, I'm gonna put that one in copium. It's not really that good just on its own. And then we have Rika Son of Elon. Rika Son of Elon, really good deck. Ton of interactions. Board presence is there. With the new Fenrir engine added into the Rika Son of Elon, you are lit for the game as well. Really good. I do want to try this one on National, by the way, but the best thing I can do is Omega. And then we have Runic. So Runic, as a pure archetype, not really good. But if you would say Naturally Runic, possibly tier 3. I can't go beyond of that. What are the other good variants for this? Maybe for higher Runic is tier 3 as well. Really good. Stun Runics, annoying, but tier 3 or possibly copium. But yeah, entirely as a soul archetype or a pure archetype, I'm going to put that one on copium. Then we have Sky Strikers. So Sky Strikers got a new support from the selection pack, which was Azalea. Even with the new Azalea, I think the gameplay for Sky Strikers hasn't changed by any means. After the Banlist, I think they're going to be like tier 3 at best. Really good deck as well. All you need to do is fueling your graveyard with spell cards. Then we have Sprites. So Sprites, I'm going to put this one on tier 3. So currently, Sprites is still on tier 3, by the way, but the reason for me putting Sprites after the Banlist on tier 3 is because Jet and Swap Frog, although they were significant enough for the deck, I think it's much better that they target those cards rather than a copy of Blue, the starter, or even the Sprite Elf, or even Gigantic Sprite. So I think those 4 cards are really relevant for the deck other than Jet. Yes, I know consistency would be less now for Sprites. There are other engines as well, not just the frogs that can summon to the field. We have the Dark Beckoning engine as well for the Sprites. Really good. You can use other cards as well that are level 2. The Eperia, Wind Up Kitten, that's still a usable card for the Sprites as well. Sprite Sprint is still a thing. Sprite Elf is still a thing. You can drop a copy of Angler still with the Sprite Sprint and special summon the Beavers to the field. There's a ton of things that you can still do with Sprite. I think you just need to adapt more to the meta now since you have 1 copy of Jet. So that's Sprite. Next up, we'll have Stun Decks. Stun Decks, basically copium. Nowadays, people are running Harpy Sweater Duster or Lightning Storm. It's easy enough to remove from the field for your back rows. And that is basically the strength of a stun deck. And not all the time you will draw into really good cards or the cards that you want on a stun deck. So typically copium. Then we have Sword Soul. I'm gonna put the Sword Soul in tier 2. Sword Soul hasn't been targeted for the Banlist for a couple of months now, like 4 or 5 months for now. And even before, it hasn't been targeted. Protoss is still a thing. It hasn't been changed. Even if you settle on Shishao Protoss and a copy of Baron de Flor, you have a strong board right there and then. How much more you have a Blackout on the field, or even you summon a Long Yon on the field, that is a really strong board as well. So yeah, I'm gonna put Sword Soul on tier 2. Also, it's a very straightforward deck. It's easy enough to know. You just need a basic knowledge on how to special summon a Synchro Monster. Then you are lit for the game. Then we have Tier Elements. So Tier Elements, I would say I'm going to put this one on tier 3. So they were targeted significantly with the Merly. Agido is banned as well. So they only have 1 Miller, which is the Kelbeck, and even that was semi-limited to 1 as well. They only have 2 Shufflers with the Modora and that other monster. And also, to top it all off, they can only fuse twice in 1 turn. So I'm going to put this one on tier 3. I think there's still a salvation for the Tier Elements. If ever Kashtira is going to be here by next month, I think the salvation for their deck is a copy of Tier Element Kashtira that can allow them to mill an additional cards. So that's Tier Elements for you. Next, we have Thunder Dragons. So Thunder Dragons, I'm going to put this one on as a pure, it's basically copium. But if you use Bishels with the Thunder Dragons, really insane, really good, it's going to be on tier 3. I have tried this one out in Omega. Oh, insanely good. The advantage you get, or the synergy you get for the Bishel Banish with their own monster, and then search out another card that will garner you or get you into the Colossus and the Titan on the field, with of course your Bichels on hand. So insanely good. But as a pure, no, I'm gonna put this one in Copium. Then we have Trap Checks. Trap Checks, you really need a good pilot for this, but even so, if you're not really that good of a pilot for Trap Checks, just have a basic knowledge like me, I'm just gonna put this one on tier 3. Really good control deck, but it falls into the evenly matched, the Regeki. You don't have really like spell and trap card interaction, so it falls into that. But the effects of your new Trap Checks monsters is insanely good, having you to protect your back row as well with the Arachnocampa. It's insane. Furthermore, the Rafflesia and the new XZ monster allows you to garner more plays as well. So I'm gonna put that one on tier 3, or possibly just needs a good pilot. But yeah, for the sake of this video, I'm gonna put this one on needs a good pilot. And then we have Violence. Violence, they got their new supports from the selection pack. I don't think that they are that good. Even with the new supports, I think they're still lacking some more cards. Not like what Draco Slayer has, or the Pendulum has. Pendulums, I'm going to put this one on possibly tier 3 or needs a good pilot. But I'm just going to put this one on tier 3. They are a really strong deck, same as the Draco Slayers. So the thing about Draco Slayers and Pendulums, they have or almost the same identical name of the cards in their deck. Either swap this either way, it's still going to be the same. They are still a really strong deck after the Banlist. But Violence, I'm going to put this one on Copium at best. Dogmatica. So Dogmatica as a pure deck, really bad. Yeah, you say remove the necessary cards. Yeah, but there's some other decks that doesn't really rely mostly with their extra deck, like Labyrinth, like Floowandereeze. I know it's very powerful just to dissect your opponent's extra deck, but if you want to say you are gonna use the Nadir Servant on 3 copies with the Invoke Dogmatica or Dogmatica Shaddoll deck, I think that would be like tier 3. The consistency just rose up a little bit just because of the Nadir Servant of 3 copies, allowing you to send a copy of the Apkalon to the graveyard, search out a copy of Kismet, and then fuse into your window by your opponent's turn. So insanely good. Consistency will be up for that one because of the 3rd copy of Nadir Servant. But as a pure, I think I'm gonna put this one on Copium at best. And then lastly, we'll have Floowandereeze. Floowandereeze hasn't been seeking place in most of the games currently, but I think they're still a really strong deck. I gotta hand it to Floowandereeze that they got hit a ton of cards, a ton of advantage for them, but so far they managed to garner some of the spots in the tier. Possibly tier 2 or tier 3, I'm gonna put them there, but I think tier 3 is just lowballing it. So I'm gonna put this one on tier 2. Really strong deck, still uses Shifter, doesn't really rely mostly with the graveyard. Interactions with the Banished pile is just insane. Although they still have a 1 copy of map, but it's easy enough to acquire with the help of the advent of the adventure. So that is basically it. That's the tier list for you guys. Tell me your thoughts on the tier list down below. I'm pretty sure you are eager enough to comment something about the Kashtira on the Copium side. But yeah, please understand, it's still not a strong deck at the moment. Possibly in the next month we'll have the supports making it it's gonna be tier 1, but at the current state after the Banlist, really not. But anywho, that is it for today. Keep safe, good luck. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.